The three of us just can't agree on anything. I mean, it is obvious we were not meant to live together.
I hate to agree with you, but I think you're right.
I think so, too. In fact, I know so. This is exactly what happened during the Great Herring War.
Rose Nylund told her friends about the Great Herring War exactly one time at a kitchen table, and they laughed at her.
The Great Herring War?
Yes, between the Lindstroms and the Johanssons.
Oh, that Great Herring War.
They laughed because of the cannon. Everybody laughs because of the cannon.
Tell me, Rose, did they ever shoot a herring out of a cannon?
Only once. But they shot him into a tree.
And because they laughed at the cannon, they missed everything else she said, which included the names of both families, the location of the waters, the nature of the dispute, and the reason it ended. 4 facts, all of them checkable. Nobody ever checked. So we did, and here's what actually happened on that coast. Start with what they were fighting over, because everyone skips it. Rose doesn't say good waters. She says,
The two families control the most fertile herring waters off the coast of Norway, so naturally it seemed like it would be in their best interest to band together.
the most fertile herring waters off the coast of Norway. That's her phrasing, and it's precise, and if you know anything about the North Sea in that period, it should stop you cold. Herring wasn't a fish. Herring was the economy. Herring is what put barrels on ships and ships on the Atlantic, and money in a village that had no other way to get any. Whole towns existed because the shoals came, and stopped existing when they didn't. And 2 families had the best of it, not a share of it, all of it. The Lindstroms and the Johanssons. Write those names down because one of them ends up in Minnesota, and that's the whole point of this channel. Now, 2 families, 1 set of waters, and they're getting in each other's way. So they did the reasonable thing. They banded together. 1 fleet, 1 catch, 1 shared holding pen down at the water's edge. Rose's verdict on this decision is 4 words long.
Oh boy, was that a mistake.
It was a mistake. And she's right, but not for the reason you're thinking. It didn't fail because they hated each other. It failed because of what they never discussed. They agreed on the boats, they agreed on the nets, they agreed on the pin and the shares and the schedule. Nobody asked what the herring were for. Here's the moment the alliance breaks, and it's the most important 30 seconds in this entire story.
You see, they couldn't agree on what to do with the herring.
Oh, well, that's understandable. I mean, the possibilities are overwhelming.
Exactly. The Johanssons wanted to pickle the herring, and the Lindstroms wanted to train him for the circus.
The Johanssons wanted to pickle them. The Lindstroms wanted to train them for the circus. And I need you to understand, the Johanssons were right. Salting and brining herring in barrels was the technology that ran that entire coast for 400 years. A fresh herring is food for a day and garbage by evening. A barreled herring is food for a year and cargo for 1,000 miles. Every krona that ever came out of that water came out of a barrel. So the Johanssons weren't being boring. They were on the correct side of the only argument that mattered in the North Sea.
Weren't they kind of hard to see riding on the elephants?
Oh, not that kind of circus. A herring circus. Sort of like SeaWorld. Only smaller. Much, much smaller. But bigger than a flea circus.
And the Lindstroms, and this is where I turn on you a little bit, the Lindstroms were not being stupid. Rose is very careful here, and nobody listens. It wasn't that kind of circus. Nobody's riding an elephant. It's a herring circus. Her comparison is a marine park, only smaller, much, much smaller. But bigger than a flea circus. She's specific about that. Now think about what the Lindstroms were actually proposing. That a fish has a value beyond its weight. That people will pay to see a thing they could otherwise buy by the barrel. That's a terrible idea about herring. It is a magnificent idea about everything else. It's the entire theory of the modern tourism industry, arrived at 400 years early by a family working with the wrong animal. So how do you fight a war in a Norwegian fishing village? Not with fists. In 4 years, there wasn't a single punch thrown. And if you know these people, you already knew that. It started at a church supper. The butter came around the table, reached a Lindstrom, and went back the way it came. That's the opening shot. That's Fort Sumter. The Lindstroms retaliated by turning their chairs. Not away, just 15 degrees. Enough that everyone in the room understood, and not enough that anybody could name it out loud. The Johansons escalated. They started saying, well, and standing up whenever a Lindstrom entered a room, which in that culture is not a greeting, it's an eviction notice. And then the Lindstroms went to the other church. That one was serious. In a village with 2 churches, going to the other one isn't a preference, it's a border. And underneath all of that politeness, every single night, both families were down at that shared pin in the dark, pulling herring out. The Johansons for the barrels, the Lindstroms for rehearsal. Same pin, same fish, 2 completely different futures being drained out of it in the same darkness.